Okay.
Hello, my name is Christopher Morgan, and I live on Briargate Lane in Muskego. I'd like to talk about the weather for a moment. And, the reason for that is, in the past 6 months, we've had a blizzard, we've had a flood, and a tornado, all on our property. And I'd like to thank the fire department and the paramedics and the police department for helping us through the tornado situation. We had a sewer backup right after that because of the floods, and destroyed 20 basements in our condo complex. We reached out to the city for help, and we reached out to our aldermen, we reached out to the Chamber of Commerce, and we weren't able to get anywhere in terms of reparations. We couldn't even use the Chamber of Commerce parking lot to park our vehicles while we had our carports redone. Fortunately, we have a Christmas tree farm next door that allowed us to park a lot of our vehicles and use that as a staging ground for reparations. At this time, we have been told that the sewage, raw sewage that came into our basements was not the fault of the city, even though documents have come to surface that have shown that it actually was the fault of the city and some of the engineering. My question to you is, there is a potential lawsuit of up to $1 million when you add up all of the damages, loss to business and personal possessions. What are you going to do as a mayor to help soften the blow from the residents that had to deal with this situation? We have apparently until July or June to file a lawsuit. And we'd rather not do that because it looks like you have enough on the books already. So what would you do as a mayor to help us through this situation? Thank you.
Just want to make sure they have the question.
I got it.
Scott writes slower. You ready?
Ridiculous.
Writing a book, yes.
Okay, question is to Scott. Thank you.
Well, first of all, you should have bet on horses the trifecta. You could have cleaned up for that. But anyway, first of all, I'm sorry that you weren't able to, park your cars in the lot that doesn't have a whole lot of parking, and you were able to park where you could in order for them to take care of that particular situation. But as far as speaking with the residents that were affected to this, I think that that's what we would need to, in my opinion, I would want to do, is if it affects me or my neighbors, because we are all neighbors in the community, sit down with them and say, let's take a look at the events of what took place. Ask, what kind of plan can we put in place to alleviate this in the future, and what didn't we do? Okay. And then secondly, what are these people looking for? Because quite frankly, I don't know at this point. I don't know to what degree it's affected you. I don't know to what degree your insurance company may or may not have provided you. Maybe there were some simple things as, a deductible, which may not be out of the realm because the city does have some additional funds that are laying around that maybe people don't know about. Maybe we could utilize those and apply those to take care of situations such as this. But more importantly, what can we do to be proactive in the future so this type of thing doesn't happen? We can't change, or stop tornadoes. We can't stop some of these things. But when it comes to flooding, I think, as a city and a community, we should be a little more proactive on maybe looking at sewer drains and where things are going and how that's going to impact other people around them. So I guess the bottom line for me is gather the people that were affected, find out what took place, gather all the information, and try to work out a resolution that would make sense and is feasible from a financial standpoint for both parties.
Thank you, Scott. Luke?
Well, for me, it's simple. If the city is culpable, the city is culpable. If you have documentation, if it proves that what happened was, if the city bears some responsibility for it, the city bears responsibility for it. You're a citizen. Everybody in your condo complexes are citizens of Muskego. This is not a litigious thing where we're going to fight back and forth because the city wants to save a few bucks. I'm not mayor. I'm not going to be mayor. I'm not going to sit up here and be a shill for the city or anybody else. If the city has responsibility, it has responsibility. And if you try to run away from it and try to bury it and try to take it to court and try to hide it and try to put it off, the next thing you know, 12 years later, you're being sued for $120 million. And, you know, I'm not, just because I may be elected mayor of Muskego, I'm not going to hide from responsibilities that are rightfully ours. And if it is, it is.
Another question?
Tom Ralston, West 19386 Highland Park Drive. Both of you have stated that you view Parkland Mall as our #1 economic issue, and you're going to be looking at it with fresh eyes. I've been in Muskego since 1976, and I was involved with Art Dyer going back to his Cowtown proposal for the city of Muskego. When he didn't get that project to come through, he went and purchased Parkland Mall because he was aware that the city was looking at it as a site for our future library. He bought the building out from underneath the city using open records documents, so he knew where the city's price was, and he beat the price, grabbed Parkland, and then was willing to lease a portion of the building at one time. Maybe it precedes you, but there was a building there. He was willing to rent a part of the building back to the city for its library for a period of 10 years at the cost to the city of $14 million. Now, this is the individual that you are willing to take a fresh look at. So my question to either one of you or both is, if Art Dyer continues to ask for $50 for a $10 bill, is that a deal you're going to take on behalf of the city just to clean up the economic mess that you claim that it is?
Okay, before you leave, just want to make sure. You have the question? You have the question. Okay, and I believe it is to Luke?
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
The simple answer is no. That doesn't make much business sense, getting $10 for $50 or giving away 50 for 10. But I'm not going to jump to any conclusions. That's the old way of thinking, is I'm not going to go into this situation already thinking that he's trying to rip me off. Nothing will get done that way. And if I'm going to try to get anything done, I can at least try. I'm not going to slough it off and say, you know what, I'm not going to deal with it because maybe this guy's untrustworthy. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But you know what? How do I know unless I talk to him? I've seen the affidavits. I've read them. They're like court testimony. And some of the stuff that's in there, you know, it doesn't paint the city in a very good light. So does that mean everything he says is true? No, it doesn't. I don't believe anything I hear. I believe what I read. I believe what I see. But again, to answer it shortly, I'm not going to accept a proposal just to accept a proposal. I'm not going to solve a problem just to create another one. If it doesn't make sense for the city, I'm not going to do it. But you have to weigh these things. And I believe it's an important issue. I believe he has to be dealt with. I know he can't be ignored. And the city does that to its own detriment.
Thank you, Luke. Scott?
I would like to get $50 for $10 too. But the thing of it is that I was not here for Cowtown, so I can openly admit that. But again, when it comes to bringing up a new opportunity or to take an old opportunity and bring it up again, we need to take a look at that. Financially, to spend that kind of money doesn't make sense, but it's not my money. It's your money. I keep letting you people know that we are the community and we need to decide how we're going to approach this. I have no preconceptions of Mr. Dyer because I haven't dealt with him in the past. Okay? What he says may be true, what he says might not be true, but I don't know that. I know a lot of you have one opinion versus another opinion. I totally get it. I hear it on a daily basis when I'm talking with people. You know, he's a crook, he tries to stick it to us. The other people say, you know what, we should have taken and done what he wanted to do when we had an opportunity, but the people involved at the time didn't want to do it because they had a vendetta against him. I mean, it's quite the story out there. But at the end of the day, if we have an opportunity to have this discussion, and it financially makes sense by what you say to me or to your older people who will ultimately make that decision, if we can come to a consensus on this, that's the direction we should move. Regardless if it's $100 to $10. It's not my decision. It's you people out there that make that ultimate decision.
Thank you, Scott.